Hey, howdy, happy day. Governments control people. The people should control the government because the government is out of control. Hey, get a man on that, will you? Now, on a lighter note, two women, they met in heaven. They were both dead. One said to the other, "How did you die?" "I froze to death." "That's horrible." It wasn't that bad because, you kind of get into a slumber and pretty soon I died and here I am. How did you die? Well, you know what? I was totally convinced that my husband was having an affair in my house. I ran home one day. I parked my car around the block so he couldn't see me, and I ran and I exerted myself. I got into the house and I ran up the stairs and I ran downstairs. I ran everywhere. I looked in every cupboard. I looked everywhere, and I had a massive heart attack because of all the exertion. And the other woman looked at her and said, "You should have looked in the freezer. We'd both still be alive." Hey, now the governor of Hawaii, he's just another left-wing crazy guy. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened in Hawaii. Lahaina's gone, more than 1,800 buildings burned, more than 100 people have died. And this guy, all he can say, the first thing out of his mouth is climate change caused this. Well, you know what? Hawaii has had disasters like this before, 100 years ago, 300 years ago. It happens. I mean, kind of keep it to yourself until later. He's the guy that will say, gun control, when there's been an issue with firearms, right? Gun control. I mean, they haven't even counted the bodies yet, and he's gun control. And he's now doing this in Hawaii, a similar thing, and not with guns, of course, but you get it. And in addition to that, there's all kinds of issues with regards to the fire. Some citizens say they were trying to put the fire out, and the government shut the water off. Is that true? I mean, I don't know. There's so many unknowns, but I do know that there's 80 alarm systems throughout the area, 80. And none of them worked. People weren't made aware. Of course, they knew there was a strong wind outside, but the alarms didn't work. He should be addressing those issues, and there's so many deaths and so much destruction. What does he say? Climate change. He rolls right into the political, wordage immediately. That's a left-wing thing. Let's not deal with an issue. We have to call it out for what we believe that it is. It's not very nice. South Africa, racism is alive there. White people, they are just prejudiced against. Farmers have had over 300,000 guns confiscated from them, and black gangs have kicked doors in and killed farmers and taken over their property. And as a result of that, there's not a lot of good farming going on. But in any event, the white folk are really getting mangled. And it's unfortunate, it's sad, it's tragedy. And it's, to not be able to defend yourself, regardless of your color, you should be allowed to have a firearm. Particularly in South Africa, there's so much bad stuff going on. That's another sad story. Government debt and interest in virtually all countries is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per second. I always marvel at that. Where did you get the money? They all say that they borrowed the money and the interest rate is high, but if every country's borrowing, who's lending? Because they're all broke. They're all printing, they're all borrowing. It's just amazing to me. We've got to get rid of all these leaders. The swamps, they're flooded. The banks are flooded. So to speak, a little pun there with regard to banks. And then you swing over to Canada. The Canadian government, they're under the prime mistake. Under his leadership, he's a left-wing whack, and they all are there. And a few years ago, they bought the Trans Mountain oil pipeline. They've probably put, in excess of $40 billion into it. They're way over budget. They can't make anything work. They couldn't manage a two-person barbecue, governments in general, but particularly the one in Canada. And now they're saying, we want to sell part of this to Indians, and we're going to give them the money because we don't want them to spend their money. We're going to give them the money from the white taxpayer, and then they'll give it back to us, maybe kind of, sort of. Wow. And that really is happening in Canada. Indians make up, full-blood Indians, 1% of the entire population, and they now have probably 95% control, and they're pushing towards the 100. And I don't think they even vote for the most part. The government continues to give them all of this power. I wonder why that is. They're going to be in charge of the oil now. They own so many other things. If you want to do a development in provinces, you need sometimes up to 5, maybe even more, of the tribes, of the reservations, of the Indians to sign off. Okay, so they have meetings, and every couple of years they have elections. So you always go through that cycle with them and say, "Oh, we can't make a decision now because we were having another election." It's just bad. This is not progress. And now they've done this with people's money. It should be illegal. It probably is. It's kiting pick a word. There's all kinds of words that would come to play here, and some of them would be nice adjective words. But they nationalize an oil company and then they give part of it away and with your money back. They did this with Air Canada and they do it with so many other things. They're bad. We have to get rid of those people. Bah! Government is free to do as they wish, but you have to ask permission. That's your wish list. You have to ask them permission. How did that happen? Because government works for you and they go and spend your money. I talked to a teacher the other day who's a socialist. And I said, show me your pay stub. And she did. And she's in a private school and she makes $100,000 a year and she nets, I think it was like $58,000 a year. And I said, doesn't that trouble you? She said, well, I live comfortably. I said, but you're not listening to me. Doesn't that trouble you? I mean, the government is taking all of your money. That's socialism. And you're one of them. And you think this is a good thing. That's another show, another day. Hey, y'all come back. See ya.